Man, as I'm going through these questions, it's actually a mental exercise, bringing back old memories of things that I saw as a kid. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, this is really part of the work, I feel like, to understand kind of your wiring, your hard wiring, like why you act and do a lot of the things that you do, especially in relationships with women or the opposite sex and in a marriage setting. Because a lot of what we do is based on what we saw our parents do, at least my personal opinion. So here we are. 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 Man, the lighting is so bad in this car. But hey, I need to get like a special light just for, hey, let's do this. Just for this car. Ooh. It's not the greatest, but it's a little bit better. There you go. Anyway, creates like a little shadow. But here we go. I'm gonna skip over some of these questions because yeah, I do remember last time I read this with a lady friend, and there were some questions in here that were a little risque, and it's not really a Christian book, but I think it's really good to go through a lot of these questions, especially if you're in the dating phase, courting phase, seriously ready to get married. This may make you realize you're not ready to get married. You need to wait, hold off that engagement. I really wish I had read this book with my former wife before we got married, but hey, hindsight's 2020 or 50-50 according to Cam Newton. So all right. The other question right before this that I'm not going to I can answer it really fast is do you and your partner want to treat each other the same way your parents treated each other? This quick answer is really no. There were a lot of great things that were great about that I did admire about my parents' marriage, but for the most part, nah, I don't really want to treat my future wife the way my parents treat each other, because honestly, they swept so much stuff under the rug. They swept so much stuff under the rug. And a lot of it. All right, so which brings me to the next question, the main question I'm going to answer here. In your family, who was the main decision maker? In your family, who was the main decision maker? And I like this better than like saying who wore the pants in your family. Man, it's light. I feel like, ooh, I opened my eye. Oh well. Who was the main decision maker? The quick answer was my mom. Now, to understand the answer to this, to get better understanding and context, give better context to the answer to this question. Once again, my dad just had the high school education. Mom had the college degree. Dad was the country boy from Virginia. Mom was the city girl from St. Louis. My grandma, my mom's mom, was a school teacher, and her dad was an entrepreneur, had his own business. Successful black people in St. Louis. Success is relative. They would kind of be a little bit considered at that time a little bit more upper middle class, right? My grandparents, on my dad's parents, his dad was a preacher and worked on the shipyard. He was a laborer. His mom cleaned white folks' houses, and they used to I think do other stuff like pick. I feel like he told me something about when they would go gather up different crops nearby and make money for it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think my grandmother, I don't even think she even finished high school. My dad's mom. And so, yeah, less educated, not to knock my dad's parents, but less educated. Just different dynamics, right? More of very country. Said words differently. There was times my mom would kind of make fun of my dad for how he talked. I would say, yeah, she was nice about it for the most part. She would correct him, but sometimes the correction didn't always come across as nice about the way she would correct him when he would say things wrong. Sometimes it could be a little bit condescending, as I recall it, but she was overall nice about it. All right, so what else? That dynamic. The fact that, all right, yes, here's the biggest thing. Why I feel like my mom was the decision maker. Because my dad never really had to make his own decision. He never really learned to make his own decisions growing up. He was very sheltered in that. He was born in 1957 in Suffolk, Virginia. My dad saw cross burnings near his house. He saw the KKK came into his house. The way he was raised, they were raised very protected. You know, he was one of 10 kids. He was a middle child. So many things going on with my dad, right? He was 5'5", so he had the Napoleon complex too, and didn't know what to do with all that, right? Because he wasn't much of an alpha male. Anyway, decisions. Yes, the fact that his entire life decisions were made for him. So they were sheltered in Virginia because if they were to wander out of the area, I believe, yeah, they would have had to deal with a lot of racism, a lot of just like, shoot, could have had an Emmett Till kind of situation going on for God knows. I'll have to talk to my aunt to know more about that dynamic. But yeah, they were sheltered from the world. I asked my dad about like civil rights type stuff, and he doesn't really remember any of that. He was like in this bubble, right? My mom had a lot more world experiences, right? My mom traveled. My dad didn't travel. And so, all right, all my dad knew to do was sit and be quiet, be seen, not heard. They went to church like all the time. All my dad really did was go to church and go to school, and that was it. And then when he got a chance to get away, that was a crazy story I'll have to share another time. Because he went off to the Army, didn't even tell his parents. They didn't even realize, like, nobody even apparently checked on him the way he tells it to me. And so he just went away when he turned 18. When he was almost about to do this tech school, this IT school, but he ended up, my grandpa shot that down. And my dad ended up going into the Army, was a supply man in the Army. And yes, everything, yeah, in the military, they tell you what to do. Everything is, your whole day is planned for you. That's why a lot of military guys sometimes can struggle when they get out, because they don't have somebody telling them what to do. Like, they're used to that, following orders. And then he's in the military. He goes from the military to marrying my mom. Yeah, from his parents' home where he's told what to do, military told what to do. Then with my mom, she's of higher intelligence when it comes to like book smarts and all that, and education. And she's telling him what to do. And my dad was very impressionable. Like, my mom started like, my dad used to wear some wild stuff that he saw his brothers wearing. And my mom would, used to pick out his clothes. Yeah, his outfits. When they planned the vacations, my mom was the one that would plan the vacations. When it came time to buy a house, my mom was spearheaded a lot of that kind of stuff. Because my dad just learned to defer to her for a lot of things, right? It's almost like I feel like my dad's, how do I say it? Something happened where his desire to want to learn new things, like, stopped around 18, 20-ish. Even though my dad kept getting older, when I lived with him before he passed away, it felt like I was still talking to the teenage college, like 20-year-old, go to college. He did a little bit of college at Tidewater Community College in some other Flow Valley in St. Louis. That's a whole other story. But yes, my mom was the main decision maker, and a lot of that had to do with his background and the dynamics of like how they were raised different, like totally different. Once again, my dad didn't get indoor plumbing until he was 18 years old. That just tells you a lot in itself. He had an outhouse till he was 18. Anyway, all right. Stay tuned.